do not know how to eat. I mean, going to fast food places and eating burgers and fries, that's not a good diet.
Nope.
And
Nope.
drinking sodas. You got to eat fresh foods if possible. Eat your veggies. I know a lot of people don't like to eat their veggies, but that's what helped black people get through slavery. Those collard
Mm,
greens and whatnot. And greens will really do a number on you. Uh, Also, eat oatmeal. I know a
mm,
lot of people heavy meat eaters, and I heard Dick Gregory say if you eat oatmeal, oatmeal will help your body to eliminate most of the stuff that can kill you.
mm.
Do all of the things I've suggested, and you should be here a very long time. Hey, Diego, what's up? I will see you on Saturday. Looking forward. Yeah, we'll be at Freddy's. So, anything else, Orlando? You got another question? I can
Oh man, that's it for me. Any audience questions? Any from the peanut gallery?
respond. Any more questions from you guys? Don't be shy. You
Don't
know,
be shy.
oh, so you got to ask me now.
Lord of
Going anywhere.
May the Most High have His mercy.
I
You know.
ain't going to let me off that easy. I'm 120 or 150.
Word. Hey, hey, man. Hey, that could be a possibility, man. There's cats living till like I think I was reading about a woman that was like 109 or something like that today. I'm like, wow, that's
Yeah.
heavy. Imagine what she saw. She was one of the survivors of the Black Wall Street
Oh,
incident.
yeah.
I'm like, wow,
They said
100.
she's waiting to have her day in court, but I don't know if that's going to happen. I think that touches base on the whole subject of reparation. Uh,
Yep, I'm a
I,
reparationist, by the
I
way,
was
so I'm all about that.
sitting on the fence about that because I didn't know Black history. But after checking out some of these accounts on Instagram that focus on Black history, then I say definitely we should have reparations. And there's a bill that's being proposed in California right now, and
Yep.
people support that. I already added my signature to that, and hopefully that thing will pass. And it may still take some time, but it'll set a precedent.
One thing,
I'm
Mark, check out the CJEC. Those are the guys that I'm associated with. That's where I get all my information on their reparations group, and they've helped to actually pass and put a lot of things on the ballot. Them and also my local group NAASD. They're all friends of mine. Like I'm not really a part of their group, but I support them, and I always get my news from them because they're on the ground with a lot of that stuff. I've been to like reparations rally. I even went to Oakland and spoke, um, just as an audience member, just on our advocacy for that. So I'm in the. I dig that, man. That's so cool that you mentioned that. You know.
Yeah, yeah. I see we have another question
Oh
here.
yeah.
Blast beat, you have to take it slow. Play it slowly because you have to have the coordination between your hand and your feet. Now, I work on the double bass drum pedal, and it's very slow going for me. I'm not one of those cats that can pick it up and then do 300 beats a minute. Some people can do that, uh, but I'm going much slower than that. And I don't worry about, how fast I'm gonna do it. When I was with Cellular Chaos, I was playing songs that had black beats parts in it. So I was utilizing that. The thing I liked about Cellular Chaos, uh, oh, you saw me at Toronto with Colin Fisher. Oh, thanks for coming out. Yeah, that was at that square. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I had a lot of fun doing that show with Colin. But getting back to the black beats, work on the double bass drum, work on your feet and do it at a slow tempo
Yep.
and then add hand. And you will find the metronome very helpful in that respect. Because if you want to start to increase your speed, the metronome is your best friend. It's your best friend. You can really get it up there. But tempo wise, start out slow.
There's another question. He's all, how do you stop comparing yourself to other musicians? I
I,
feel
I
like
don't
that's good. I'm the same way. I don't.
I don't compare myself to anyone because there's no one on the chain like me. I
Nope.
mean, these are not. They haven't had the benefit of working with Cecil Taylor, or
Wow.
Ware, or Charles Gale, or Sabir Mateen,
Mm,
and Thurston Moore, Gene, and his brother Gene Moore, Mick Barr, Weasel Walter.
yep.
You know, I can name a whole bunch of people. Gian Perez. I'm working with him right now. Caroline Morton, and also Michael Gilbert, and the guys in my band: Tor Schneider, Takuma Kaniwa, Brenna Ray, Ayumi Ishido, David Tamura, Robert Mac Vega Dowda, Ryan Siegel, Eric Plank, Daniel Carter. I mean, I've worked with a whole bunch of people. I mean, I can't compare myself to any other musician, and I don't mean that in a way coming from an ego point of view. I'm just speaking fact. You know, my background is very different from most of these other cats, so I can't compare myself to them. It's just not possible. Everybody
Very
has
diverse.
their own process, and that should be respected. There's no need to have friction of one musician hating another musician. A lot of times, musicians get jealous of others because they're more successful than they are. You know, but I don't even have that. If a person is getting a lot of attention, I'm just hoping that at some point that I will start to get some of that, and it's strictly for the purpose of getting the music out there. And yes,
Yep.
Joshua, Daniel Carter with Ayumi Ishido. Ayumi Ishido worked with me for many, many years, and now she's with Daniel Carter, but she still alternates between both groups with Daniel, and she works with me with Slipstream Time Travel. So I do invite her to play, but she is so busy now. A lot of times she's not as free as she was when she first came to New York. Yeah, Ayumi is from Japan, and now she's doing really, really well. This seems to be a good period for jazz musicians or improvising musicians. If you're a female, you know, doors are opening up left and right for them. So that's good to see. I hope she goes even further than where she is right now. And the same is true for my friend Zoe Amber. I had the pleasure of working with her, and you can check out that video that was filmed by Don Mount that's on YouTube. You know, um, just keep going. I don't
You
see
know
any
Susie's
way.
then too, right? Susie Abira. I know she played with David, but you mentioned female drummers and stuff. I mean, female musicians and
Yeah,
free jazz.
yeah, there are all kinds of female musicians. I think that's good for the music because people, when I was with Cellular Chaos, at Shannon Goldberger, Diane Beck, and uh, music might have been like the equivalent of Sam Ash. And she started playing upright bass, and everyone in the store stopped and they were just staring at her. It's like, it became they had never seen a woman play a musical instrument before. I mean, she had everybody's attention. They said, "What? She can play?
And she
Of
was
course, women
killing it on that video that I saw with you guys. I'm like, dang.
had lived under a rock for 2 centuries or something. Of course, they can play. Weezer was open too to using female musicians, mostly on bass. We had C.C. Moss, was our first bass player, And when Cece was with the group, it was kind of more of a no wave approach.
Yeah.
And then we started to work on songs, you know. Then Cece left because she moved. As a matter of fact, she's out where you are. She's on the West Coast
Huh.
somewhere. Cece Moss. Yeah. And then who came in? Kelly Moran. And
Hmm.
Kelly has a background as a classical pianist. And Kelly does a lot of working playing the piano mostly now, but she plays a mean bass. I mean, she is really gifted playing the electric bass. I mean, I was really impressed with her. And then after she left, then Shayna Doberger came on board, and she works with a group called Chaser,
Hmm.
and they have a drummer of child abuse band, Orrin Canfield. He plays drum for Chaser, and Chaser has Shayna's husband, Chris Welcome, playing guitar. And they have Dominica doing the vocals. That's Tim Dahl's wife, you know.
Man.
So it's a small community, and everybody kind of connects with each other in some shape or form, you know. So anybody else have any more questions, feel free to drop a line here. I'm here. Yeah, I mentioned Caroline Morton a couple of times. Yeah. Yeah, Kelly is really, really good on the piano. She did a thing at Roulette, and you can watch that on YouTube, called Roulette. They film all of the music, the activities that go on there, and they put it on their YouTube channel. So YouTube is very important. I mean, I tune into YouTube almost daily, finding. I've not seen Chaser yet, you know. Uh, for some reason, whenever they have something, it conflicts with my schedule. I will also have something on the same night or whatever. So I don't know if I'm going to get up to Canada anytime soon. Uh, we'll have to give that a little bit more time, Joshua. Canada is possible, but certain things got to be in place in order for us to get up there. Like money and covering the usual, putting us up, in hotels and stuff like that or whatever. Or are we staying at somebody's house? So all of these details have to be addressed in order to do the Canadian thing or going anywhere, as a matter of fact. Anything else? Do you have
I like Joshua's name. I like Josh's name, by the way. Josh Apocalypse.
yeah. uh, what else is? Let me see if there anything else here. Time travel. Yeah, I mentioned my people. Did I tell you I ran into Sun Ra when I was with Cecil? We
What?
did a
Yeah.
show.
How was that? I gotta hear this story.
We went to the Octo Cafe. We were scheduled to play there. So we had gotten into Philly. No, we had to take the train down to Philly. So where they, we got to Penn Station, where rushed down the stairs because they said last call for the train to Philly. So Ware grabbed my tom tom and he went, but I had more drums so that by the time I got down to the platform, I ended up missing the train.
Oh,
So Cecil tipped and we took the train to Philly together. And then I met up with David at the hotel, because we were splitting the cost of the hotel room. It was just cheaper for us to do that. So anyway, we decided to go out, take a walk, and explore Philly a little bit. So we went out walking down the street, and who do we run see? Sunrise, and that and so Sunrise
oh man, you're cutting out,
grabbed,
man. Say that again. Oh, you kind of cut
Sun,
out on me.
yeah, Sunrise. we went outside and we were exploring the streets of Philadelphia, and we ran into Sun Ra and a member of the orchestra. I don't
Wow.
remember who the bandmate was, but anyway, Sun Ra starts rapping to us, and he's talking his stuff about cosmology and mysticism, and Sun Ra was into all of that stuff. And I bought the Sun Ra book, the bio, and for a long time I had misplaced the book, and I just found it again.
Wow.
So I'm reading it. I thought I had lost it. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
have to found it.
Ace is a place.
Yeah.
The
So
library I work at, the library I used to work at had that book, man. Hopefully nobody stole it and they still have it. But yeah, that's
if
rad.
you, you should steal it.
Oh no, man, I don't want to get in trouble. I always think, people need to read that stuff. I want to share it with all the youth.
Steal that sucker.
Man, I didn't steal nothing. I would never do that. But I'm glad. I'm just glad that they had it because I mean, that's where I found out that Sun Ra was like the first to actually do light shows that a lot of these rock bands, are doing now. He was the first to actually do that. I tripped out when I read that. I remember reading that in that book. I'm like, what?
To use the electric keyboard, and there are other people in that try and claim credit for it, but there are people who were around during that time. They said, no, no, no. Sun Ra was the one that started with the electric keyboard thing. So he was thinking way ahead of a lot of people, and now everybody, they use the electric keyboard. But, I think for keyboard players or piano players, you're better off playing the actual piano because if you do the keyboard, you lose your chops very quickly. You know,
Man.
you lose it very, very quickly. But anyway, Sun Ra started rapping to us, and I remember asking him a question about something that he had said. And I tell people, Sun Ra is like a college professor. You
Wow.
ask him, and he will answer your question, but he's going to talk for the next 2 hours. Every answer. But because he said he had to be somewhere, he cut it down. He talked for about an hour. He had to be somewhere. But he wasn't done. I could tell he had a lot of juice left. He had a lot more knowledge that he wanted to lay on us. So I said, "You guys are going to come and see us?" And he said he would try and come, but he didn't make it to the show. But a lot of his members in the orchestra, they came and they were sitting in the first row. So I made sure when we hit, I put on a special show just for the Sunrise people, as well as
Wow.
yeah, I was really bringing it that night, playing really, really hard and just going crazy on the drums and whatnot. And they were just eating it up. They were just eating
Was
it up.
him and Cecil cool like that? That's so cool. I always wondered if they met, and the fact that you
Oh
and
yeah,
him are into Afrofuturism and stuff too, and talk about all the sci-fi and
Cecil,
you know, all the
I-
conscious.
there's a picture in the Cecil Taylor group of Cecil Taylor and Sun Ra, and they had their arms locked together. I
Wow.
can send you that photo because I think I
Yeah, I want
downloaded
to see that.
it. People, for some reason, there's some crazy rumor out there, and people were thinking that there was some kind of friction between Sun Ra and Cecil. I said,
Huh.
no. We used to tour. When we went on that tour in 1976, Sun Ra was also on the same circuit. A lot of times, uh, they would sometimes play first, and then we would follow them. And then we'd go to another venue. Maybe the next time we went on first, and then they would play after us. So it was kind of like a friendly band competition kind of thing. But it was really nice seeing Sunrise play night after night. And at the time, I kind of took that for granted. But I see now that that was very, very special
Man,
That was a very moment. Uh,
that's
I,
amazing.
I
Those two of my
did
favorite jazz musicians.
I did meet Arnett Coleman. As a matter of fact, Arnett asked me to attend uh, a rehearsal because he was doing stuff on 125th Street. But I had hooked up with Weasel Walter, and I didn't want to pull away from Weasel like that, you know. So
Wow.
go. I didn't go to the rehearsal, you know. I tend to be loyal when I'm working with someone. I tend to be very loyal to that person, and I will stick with them, you know, no matter what. But Arnett did ask me to come to a rehearsal. And I often think about that, you know, in hindsight, you know, did I do the right thing? But I believe that I did,
You did.
you know, I did it.
That's nothing's wrong with being loyal in that regard,
A
like
lot of cats
that's cool.
only loyal to as long as you pay me, I'll be there. You pay me, I'll
Wow.
be there.
Yeah, I know that.
They loyal to the almighty dollar.
Wait a minute. Wow.
You pay me, I'll be there.
There's Josh asked an interesting question. Wow, was Weasel like go to Ornette?
No, I never told Weasel about that,
You
you know.
probably would
I never
have made you do that.
told.
Weasel, shouts to Walter Weasel. I mean Weasel Walter always mess up his name, man. Cool cat, man. I'm glad, I've met. I mean, me and Weasel, we met via MySpace too, but also like I've seen him when he's come out here, like
Yeah,
for playing just different outfits. Last time I saw him, he played with, I forgot the how could I forget this brother's name? I found out he lives in this other brother that he played with lives in Long Beach, like with me. His last name Escalante. How could I forget the brother's first name? Shame on me. Man, and it was an amazing show. That was the last time I saw Weasel, and I'm like, there's a picture of us doing like claw, like kind of the typical heavy metal picture, just clowning around. But yeah, man, cool cat, man. Freaking Walter Weasel or Weasel Walter.
Weasel Walter.
Please forgive me, Weasel, if you see this. I'm bad with names.
Yeah, Weasel is a very interesting musician. I mean, when he asked me if I wanted to work with him, I said, Weasel, I'll work with you, but I said, I have to ask you one question. I said, are you crazy? And because at that time, not many people wanted to work with me. A lot of musicians would shy away
Wow.
if there was an opportunity to work with me. They would not take it. Now that's changed over the years. Now I got so much demand that, you know, I can't take everybody. I'm working mostly with Gian Perez, Caroline Morton, and also Michael Gilbert right now.
Mm.
So that's how that's playing out. But I really like working with Gian Perez. And last week we did a thing at Freddie. We had Manuel Joe Perez join us, and he played tenor saxophone. There were pictures. I don't know if I posted those pictures on my Instagram account yet. If I haven't, I'll have to do that. You know, a friend of mine came and he took pictures of us, so I have to get those pictures up there. But you know, more people seem to want to work with me. You know, but you know, you just can't. I can't always say yes because sometimes the project might not be right for me, you know, and I will get a feeling of that. You know, I will look at the configuration, who's in the group, and I say, nah, no, this is not a good fit for me. You know, I'll have to pass on it. And I have so much going right now. You know, I have to be more selective. You know, I can't just say yes to everybody. There was a time when I would have welcomed that, you know, because I had so much free time on my hand. But that, I think those days are kind of like behind me now. You know, things are changing. So I work with the people that I feel that I will fit and maybe add something to them. Yeah, Mick Bar, I can't say enough about Mick. I love working with him, but it's very intense working with Mick. I mean,
That's
I don't
awesome.
know how it is. I worked with Weasel, and he has a different intensity. When it comes to Mick, man, I mean, we are definitely going into the red on this thing.
That's awesome.
Red, red, you know? Mick is so intense. I said, Jesus Christ. He said he doesn't let up, and I don't let up. So you got two cats. It becomes almost like uh, Rocky and Apollo Creed. You know,
Man,
in the
I wish
ring.
I was jamming with both of y'all because I like going going out and going in, man. Like you just like
Yeah,
going in with the punches, man.
I mean, nonstop. You know,
That's
but
tight.
I'm glad we did the album. I'm really glad, and I'm glad the album came out as well as it did. Uh, I'm really glad we did that. I would like now that Mick has expressed an interest in wanting to do more you get-togethers. You know, there will be an announcement when that's going to go down.
That'd be sick, man. I'd love to check that out, man. Wow.
Yeah, but I have to be on point. I have to be very much on point when I work with Mick. I have to be regular with my exercising. I got to be eating right. I got to be practicing. I got to come in on point. Everything has to be on point. I
Mm.
have to be able to check off everything on the list. Because if I don't, Mick is going to eat me for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Comedy, man.
He's going to eat me
I
up.
would just love to like even watch that, man. Like, cause yeah, Mick is a sick guitarist, bro, and you're a sick drummer. Like you guys both rock madness. Seriously, like I've never seen Mick live. I've seen videos and stuff, but like just seeing that and hearing music that he's played on is always cool. And then seeing the intensity of both of you guys playing together, I would enjoy that, man. Like that would be amazing. Just
So
to
that's a first encounter, and you get an idea of what's what, you know, you know. But I really love working with Meg. I love all the musicians that I've had the pleasure of working with. And I've also worked with Reg Bloor, who was Glenn Bronker's ex.
oh wow,
Reg is a guitar player that a lot of people don't know about. She is very, very talented. And she's put out a series of CDs. And she doesn't get much recognition. I mean, I don't understand it. I mean, she's really gifted.
wow, yeah. Please let me. I don't know about. I definitely know about Bronca, but I didn't know about the artists
This
that you were saying.
we did. This
Oh wow,
is a new one. That's one. This is another one. He does.
wow, dang, that's a crazy album cover.
He does,
Brutal.
he does
Stick
brutal
Figure
rock.
Massacre.
You know, he does a lot of that kind of stuff. Hold on a second. I can pull out one more. That that's Red.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he's got a thing for
Man.
doing dark stuff. And here's the back of it, kind of like Psycho, huh?
Yeah, that's hella psycho, man. I want to hear it, man. That
Yeah,
is
yeah,
mad, though. Totally madcap.
yeah. Red is something else. Uh, very, very talented guitar player. Um, I think we have something filmed on YouTube, you know, but now I'm kind of limited. Oh, I also worked with Paul Flaherty. I did a 2-volume CD that appeared on Cadence Record, and that came out quite a while back, but it was really, really good, working with Paul Flaherty, a tenor player, you know. I'm trying to think who else have I worked with. I've worked with a lot of other people, but we didn't necessarily do much in terms of recording. There's also Jeffrey Hayden Shurda, the piano player,
Ah,
and he would get a lot of attention. He did a box set on Isla Records when that was happening. Well, the record was still happening, but the original owner of it, John Strom, passed away, and he was one of the few people that would put out my stuff. I did a couple of albums. He did another record label called Jazz Tapes, and I put out 2 CDs on that label. Um,
man.
so there are recordings of me out there, but it's just not a whole lot. It should be. I don't understand how some of these cats record labels are just putting out their stuff. They're recording them every quarter and stuff like that. Every other month they're putting out stuff, and it's not that strong. Some of the stuff that they're putting out. I said, what we do with my band, Slipstream Time Travel, that is very intense. Uh, I did, Joshua, I did record with Colin, and we did a record on act that was put out. It's on the Astral Spirit label. I think that was called Midnight Madness or something like that. I forget the exact title, but that was under.
Hey, Mark, one of the drummers that I work with just came up. What's up, Lozani? If you're still there, what's up? He goes, I just realized who that this Madre was. He's an amazing drummer too, man. This guy, like, just man, I don't want to take it away from this dude's shirt melted off at one point when he was playing drums. So I was like, man, I was wondering if I'm glad that he's here, man, because he man,
We'll have him
being an intense drummer
connect.
like him, like you, I mean, man, it's cool to see that he's here. That's
Have
crazy.
him connect with me on
What?
Instagram.
I'm sorry. What's that?
Have him connect with me on Instagram. Have him connect with
Yeah,
so I can check
most
out his stuff.
definitely.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, man. Apocalypse. What was that question, bro? I'm trying to find it. He had another question. Oh, I think about the record with uh, Colin or Jason for Cellular Chaos.
Well, I did 2 records with uh, Cellular Chaos. The first album did very well, and it kind of like sold out. So it's been reissued by Ingraph Records. They put out the first one, and it's virtually the same as the original release. The graphics and everything, all of that is basically the same. It's just like getting the original recording, but it's just a different record label that's releasing it. That's all, you know. But I did 2 records with them, and the songs were very challenging. I mean, the way Weasel writes, you know, I mean, rock drumming is an entirely different skill set, and I feel that I needed more time, way more time to pick it up because I'm coming from a free jazz thing. And then when you're trying to change to the rock drumming, some of the things that I was asked to do, it really wasn't exactly compatible with the
Mm.
way that I play. So it felt awkward doing certain things, you know. It just felt very, very awkward to me. Weasel can get up there and play it. He would show me how he wanted it played because he can play the drums. And I said, he makes it look so easy, but, that's another matter. I said, I have to, I would spend a lot of time listening to the audio file and playing along with it because Weasel would give me the song that way. And that's how I learned it. And I had the opportunity to play along with it, and that would save time on the rehearsing so that when we did get together and rehearse, it's just much quicker. It just speeds things up a lot. But like I say, it's a different skill set from going from the free jazz to rock drumming. Yeah. Uh, and in that particular band, Cellular Chaos, you have to hit. As soon as you get to the bandstand, you got to hit hard
Mm.
and to maintain that. You have to maintain that energy. You can't just hit and go and then just let it drop down. You have to maintain the energy. If the energy's up here, your ass better be up there. Oh,
Well, you bought it, man. I dug what you guys did. I remember when I found out, because I talked to you guys separately just online before I even realized you guys were playing together. And like when I found that out, I'm like, oh wow, I didn't know. And I was digging what I heard, man, and just like I was, man, it's some good stuff, man. I mean, shoot,
yeah.
really cool stuff, you know.
With Cellular Chaos, I forgot to mention Admiral Gray. She was essential to that band because when we started out, we didn't have a vocalist. It was just
Mm.
instrumental. It was just me, we, DC Marc, and we no approach to the music, meaning that I was doing the free jazz drumming and playing behind it. But as time went on, we started to set up composition songs. And then, the songs were set up so that he would give me drum parts that he felt that I could play. And for the most part, I could play them, but then sometimes the parts were such that I had great difficulty executing them. It was just difficult, because like I say, it's very awkward going from free jazz to doing the rock thing, because I don't normally play that way when I'm doing the free jazz. I'm not playing on the hi-hat, for example, and then playing the backbeat. On the free jazz, I'm mostly operating off of the ride cymbal, you
Mm.
so it's different when you change going from right, literally going to left,
Wow.
you know. The way some of the parts was for the drums was set up, it was just it just felt awkward. And then at some point, I said, I think I've had enough of this. I said, I gotta move on. I can't do this. It takes much longer for me. And I was starting to feel a pull to return to my root, which is the free jazz, because that's who I am. So I've been doing the free jazz, and the music is coming through very, very well. And I really have no complaint when I work with people. You know, you become a much better channel after playing this music for so many years. But the problem is that when a lot of cats do music, they get older, and then at some point the body doesn't quite work the way that it should. The cats might have problems with the hand or the fingers, or they start developing various health problems and ailments, and that's where do, uh, doing some yoga, meditating, and dealing with the energy healing modality comes in, because that helps to prevent a lot of that stuff. And when you do the sun salutation poses, there's one pose called the downward facing dog. I believe that pose is keeping dementia away for me, because I know
Wow.
it kind of runs in my family a little bit. You start to get you're forgetful. You kind of not know where you are, that sort of thing. All of that was starting to happen to me. But after I cellular chaos, I resumed doing my yoga workout. All of that stuff cleared up. So I think a lot of people should consider doing the sun salutation poses, and they will avoid uh, dementia and all that sort of thing, all of the mental problems that happen. Yes, I do, Joshua. I have a Gretsch kit with a Yamaha drum mount. And at the time that I got it on my Gretsch kit, Yamaha drum mount was cutting edge technology in the 80s. So I've had the drum mount all these years, never had a problem with it. Good gear will last you a lifetime, indefinitely. Yes, yes, say more blood to the brain. Right. Yeah. I used to post uh, videos of me doing yoga because I was participating in these various yoga challenges, and you know, I was really getting into that for a time. And I remember at my peak, I would be spending 2 to almost 3 hours a day just trying to get the picture done right. Because sometimes if the picture you didn't get it, you have to do over. It's like acting. You don't do it right, no problem. You just do it over again until you get it right.
Mm.
So it was kind of like that. And the process would take me almost 3 hours. But it was very good that I did that. And that enabled me to keep up with someone like a Mick Bar or a Weasel or anybody else that's out there. But Cecil, I can't say enough about Cecil Taylor. His energy was phenomenal, you know.
Yeah, I
Cecil,
love that. That's so high energy. That's what I love about his playing too. Like,
Cecil was a phenomenon. He was a phenomenon, you know, kind of like John Coltrane, an abundance of energy, abundant of energy. A lot of cats can't really keep up with Cecil, you know,
man.
drop out, and then come back in. So early on, Cecil would drop out. And then I started to feel a little bit guilty about it. I got to do better than this. And then I would start to play with him. And as time went by, I started to get stronger and stronger. By the time I left Cecil and I came back from that European tour, I had mastered the physical. I had my energy at a very high level, and I was no longer getting tired.
Huh.
So you could start to play. But, that wasn't meant for me to be with Cecil. I went back to my 9 to 5 doing that, and I did that for many, many years. And through the 9 to 5, I was able to return to music. So, you know, I have no regrets about that. Like I say, unless you're independently wealthy or you're financially well off, you know, it's very hard to do uh, experimental music because the money you make is so non-existent most of the time. Once in a while you might get a good paying gig, but it's not a constant. It's more infrequent. See, if it was a constant thing, Max Roach used to talk about the government should subsidize jazz, and if that way they would pay the artists, take care of their living expenses and whatnot, then the music would really jump to a whole nother level, because once you don't have to worry about that stuff. But is there any living jazz musician you would still love to play with? Joshua, very few. Most of them are old. No, I don't. I welcome your question. Ask as many as you
Yeah.
want. There's very few that I can work with, and most of them, they don't want nothing to do with a cat like me,
Hmm.
because they know, they know, they know, they don't want nothing to do. I mean, think about it. You're up in age, you can barely get out of bed in the morning, and you're gonna hire a cat that does high energy drumming. You're gonna say, nah, 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 f that. You don't want that.
Yeah.
I don't
That's
want
so
this cat
crazy, man.
old enough that I ain't gonna hire him. I'll get somebody that's different, you know, plays much softer. You know,
I
no, they
like
don't
the
want.
fact that you're saying that. I remember you telling me like a lot of younger cats are going that route, and it made me think of another thing. A lot of heavy metal drummers, because especially when you talk about death metal and grindcore and all that, you get a lot of these drummers that are really, because they realize that to have that fast stamina and to be as technical as they are, they're going back to marching. So they're going where metal drumming came from. Metal drumming is pretty much R&B and jazz mixed together. You know, like they're trying to get as technical as they can. So it seems like a lot of people are wanting to learn how to do those jazz beats. And would you say a lot of your students or people that you've noticed that you've worked with, that I remember you saying that a lot of younger cats, do they come from that world, or just in general, like just different cats, all together?
Well, cats that are coming into the music now, a lot of them are coming out of the various schools, the various colleges. They're
Mm.
coming out of Berkeley, a college of music, or they're coming out of the New England Conservatory, or any of the similar school music colleges that has a curriculum. A lot of people are coming out of that, and they fill their heads up with a lot of stuff. I remember David S. Weir was very emphatic about that. He said, I do not want to sound like a Berkeley mother MF. He refused to say that. He said, I do not want to sound like those. I said, okay, David, you don't have to. But down anyway, that I don't see how that could even begin to happen. He very much had his own sound. And he was telling me about his experience in one of the ensembles while he was at the school, and the teacher had told the horn players they wanted to do the solos a certain way. They don't flat your five, don't flat your nines, or that sort of thing. David gets up, takes a solo. He starts flattening everything in creation.
Rebel, rebel, rebel.
So he did it. Then another horn player, the teacher didn't say nothing because he knew that David meant it. David had that ability to sell that, that this is where I'm at. You take it or leave it. So another student got up and he started to do it. And the teacher stopped him right away, said, no, 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 no. You stop. You flatten your five. No, no. So the guy sat down. He
That's
couldn't
so
get
freaking
away with it.
cool,
He was doing it just to be doing it. But when whatever Ware did, he meant it. He was dead.
man.
He was 200% serious about it.
Some rebellious stuff. Hey, I don't
Yeah.
blame you, man. I don't blame, because you get tired of snobs, man. Like in any form of music, but I'm sure, and I know, and I've heard some jazz snobs. Like it's just like, yeah. Here's your non-flat. Here's man. That's awesome, though. I'm glad to hear this stuff, man.
And the schools are a whole different thing. But I think it's good training for the students overall. They give them a lot of knowledge, a lot of material, but then it takes several years after the fact, after they leave the school, to kind of put it all together because it takes time to digest that. You just get so much when you're at a school like Berkeley, you know, and it's a very good school. I have very fond memories of being at Berkeley, and I remember seeing Alan Silvestri there as I would change my class, going from one class to another. He's the guy that wrote the music for the movie Predator. I used to
Huh.
see him always, and they get a lot of famous people that go to Berkeley, and Berkeley is smart. They give these honorary degrees to all of these various celebrities and people that don't have nothing to do with jazz. But in turn, these folks give the school money. And that's why the school has so much property up there in Boston. They own a lot of real estate. I mean, I remember there used to be this small college that was on Mass Avenue, not far from Berkeley. If you went out the side entrance, you would be right on Mass Avenue. And there, I think there would be a small college. I forget the name of it. That is now owned by Berkeley. And plus, they have other building facilities that they own throughout the city. And I said, Berkeley is smart. You know, they give money to all these millionaires and they give them money. And I believe that's how they're able to expand the school everywhere. Because now you got Berkeley and in Europe and other
Huh.
places. You know, I said they're very smart. That's a very smart strategy. You know, so if a person wants to learn music or learn any aspect of music, whether it be writing music, composition, you want to do film scoring, I hear that they have gospel added to the curriculum. They've got it all at Berkeley. I mean, they have really expanded their curriculum over the years, you know, and that's great. So that's a place you want to go to, but they're charging for it much more so than when I was there. But I went to study with Alan Dawson, and initially I did not get him. I had to wait a year, and then I got Alan, and I studied with him for a year. And Alan saved me about 15 years of unnecessary musical exploration. That's how
Mm.
teacher he was. He cut to the chase. Say, this is what you need to know. This is what you need to be doing. And it's applicable for whatever musical genre or style of music that you happen to be doing. You know, you can apply it across the board, you know, because it's just certain basic principles you got to know. And when I worked with Cecil and I did the recording Dark to Themselves, that was filmed in what used to be called Yugoslavia. It
Mm.
was, we went out at night, and I remember it was kind of cold that night, and I had my jacket with me. I said, you know, I better not play with my jacket because if I do, I'm going to get overheated. So I took my jacket off and played, and it was on the cool side. And I didn't know that they were recording it, but it was recorded. I do remember seeing the TV cameras. There was a group that filmed us, and I've been asking about this for decades, and no one has been able to track down the footage. That Dark Kid himself performance was filmed, and I think it was televised, you know, for the Yugoslavian. I don't know if it's a TV program similar to public TV or what, but they filmed it and they maybe aired it on Yugoslavian TV at that time. But I know they had a war over there, so I hope that when it was dropping bombs, they didn't blow up the building that had,
Wow.
you know, defiled the footage, you know. But no one has been able to track down this thing, so I don't know. But I like to believe that somebody is still holding on to it. Maybe it'll probably surface after I'm gone because I'm the only surviving member
Oh
of the Cecil.
Lord. Hopefully it'll surface before that.
Well, I try to keep hope alive, like the Reverend Jesse Jackson always says. But you
Yeah.
know, but you've been waiting so long, and it still hasn't come up. There was one fan that filmed us, and he sent me a copy of what he shot. And he said back in the day, filming was very expensive, and I know that it was filmed on what was that, 16 millimeter thing back in the day. You know, I know that because my parents had that, and we used to shoot family films and whatnot. Uh, I don't know, Joshua, if it was Slovenia. Uh, Look at the album Dark to Themselves, and it'll tell you the city that it was in. That's where it was done.
So that
So,
album was recorded there?
yeah, it was recorded there. It
Wow.
was recorded there. It was an outdoor performance. It was recorded there. And the engineer tried to keep me kind of low in the mix, but I was young and strong, and I would not be the I could hear it.
And
And
killing
then,
it.
yeah, they
That's
tried.
so cool.
That didn't work. That didn't work. When you're young and strong and you have all kinds of energy, you know, like
In the
athlete.
1970s.
Yeah. I mean,
So cool, man.
I mean, what I like about social media is that you can reach a lot of people, but also I'm seeing that it's very interesting to me how others view you. For example, I'm black and I might follow a site that follow a group on Instagram that deals with science or something like that. Well, the person running that account, they'll look at me and they say, "Oh, he's black. He can't possibly be interested in this," and they'll stop showing the feed. And some celebrities are like that. You know, you have certain franchise like the superheroes and the comic book heroes. Yeah, I've been following these things since I was a kid. And now you have an actor comes in and he's like the face of the franchise now. And they don't realize you've been following the character since you was a kid. And they act like they don't want to show up in your feed. Man, I don't understand that, you
Yeah,
know? I want to put that,
that's
but I'm sure I'm not the only one having this experience, you know? I think some of these celebrities need to rethink their good fortune here. You know, you don't want
that,
to alienate your family, especially
nah.
been with you, they've been with the franchise since they were kids. I mean, come on, you know?
Yeah,
Come,
man. That's a trip.
yeah. So social media, I see it as an experiment. It's an experiment to see who has understanding. And we're talking the human race here, I would say we still have a long way to go.
Yep.
Long
Yep.
way. And
Especially in old USA.
we haven't dealt with the race thing yet. This race thing is a
No,
trip.
we haven't.
The
We
race
haven't.
is well, they need to start by doing the reparations. That's how I
Yes.
feel. Give, give things.
I totally agree with that.
We got to
You
have a
know.
level playing field because when we had the Black Wall Street, it was literally burned down to the ground. They threw bombs on it. They tried to kill the people that were there. And there's
Yep.
survivor, I just saw her in the New York Times today, and she's still waiting. Yes, Joshua, that's the place. Uh, I don't know if she's going to have her day in court, so to speak. I don't know, because the situation's been going on all these years. I really don't know, and how many years does she have of life? I mean, she's really up in age. She could go any day now. I mean, yeah,
The thing that's scandalous about that too is you have these types that always make the argument, well, nobody's alive from that time. First of all, I have relatives that come from that time, and I'm also a recipient of stuff that I saw in my time. Also, when they see a person like her, they can't say anything, so then they'll just play it. One of the things too that came to mind that really on the other end of that is what happened with the lady that had to do with Emmett Till's murder. They come around and talk and pretend like everything, oh yeah, we're cool and all that, but yet you still didn't put the woman in jail for killing that kid. So stuff like that, they it's you can tell it's totally leveraged a certain way. And it's something
mm,
that the powers that be pretend that it's all cool, but it isn't. It's not. And so, like, yeah, dude, I really I'm glad that that woman is still fighting even at her age when it comes to her day in court with that. They've basically tried to rule against that, but man, she's still doing it, and I'm so happy because we're a whole family in that regard. That's our lineage,
Mm.
and those experiences will never let them tell us what to do and forget. You know, they're trying to get rid of all of our history in school right now, and I refuse to have that happen. I don't care what all these. There's too many of them. You know, that D Satan dude in Florida. There's a bunch of them that are doing that, and yeah, always make sure that you keep, just like I admire the Ashkenazi for telling cats not to forget the Holocaust. We need to do the same thing. That's a part of our lineage and even culture here in America. That struggle that we went through and things that we are still going through because of that. That plays a lot. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to get off into a lecture. I talk about this stuff a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you brought that up, you know, like
Well, it has to. I mean, I didn't know my Black history, but thanks to certain accounts that I've seen on Instagram, it's been highly educational for me and very informative, because I said, man, yeah, I didn't realize we had so many Black inventors. I mean, we seem to almost always know the white inventors,
yeah.
but Black inventors, does America know? Well, they know about George Washington Carver, but what about the rest of them?
But even with George Washington's Carver, they just teach you that he invented the peanut. No, that dude had a lot of inventions. He did so much that people don't even know about. That man,
Right.
I found out a lot of that stuff later myself. And it really it angers me when it comes. It's one of the reasons that I started the Black History of Rock and Roll, because I feel like a lot of our people weren't getting our just due when it came to this subject, and how also this particular kinds of music also has roots in other foundational Black American musics like blues, gospel, and jazz, and then the R&B before that, and so for me, I always try to make those connections, and that's why I'm glad that you're even talking about, like your experience as a jazz drummer and being in a rock band, the differences and the
Mm.
similarities. So for me, it's like it's a total man, what's the word that I want to use? Ah, I forget. There's a word that I want to use and it's not coming to my head, but yeah, it's all one when it comes to that. And I'm probably more of a self-styled historian in that regard. I'm a college dropout, but I just feel like this is where my niche is, as far as like at least one of the things. So like that's why I do this, because that history is important, and I'm glad that a lot of brothers and sisters, like people like Mr. Krim and a lot of brothers and sisters that are putting a lot of this stuff out now on here and even on YouTube, and it's great, just to hear this, and I'm glad that I mean, we talked about this, and I'm glad that these conversations are even happening now.
Hmm. I have to acknowledge
Sorry.
it. That's true. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I hear you, Orlando. Yeah, I mean, this has to be dealt with. I mean, initially when I heard the talk of reparations, I was sitting on the fence. But as I began to learn about the history, the real history of what our people have gone through, their struggles, their triumph, their pain, their highs and lows, I mean, I say, how can we not have a reparation? All the
Yep.
crap that we went through, And there was a time when we could have gone back to Africa, but, you know, so much, we spent so much time here that that's no longer feasible.
It's
We're
no
here
longer feasible at all. And I'm
now.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
We built a whole culture here, you know?
exactly. Yeah, yeah. So
We're
that's no longer,
we're distinct people. We're a distinct ethnicity here that not only are born here, but we built this country literally like for nothing, and built our own culture out of that
Mhm,
struggle. So
mhm.
and there's still a lot of things that have not been compensated for it. That's why I'm all about reparations,
Yeah.
Black American reparations. Yeah, I am totally on that page. And I'll say this: I've always been an advocate for anyone that's been wrong to, get righted in that regard, and that recompense. Why not be that for my own people who've
Mm-hmm.
never, ever, ever had recompense for the stuff that we've been through? Ever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I talk
Yeah.
about this stuff a lot.
Right.
Like,
You're right about that. I just hope this thing in California goes through, so it'll set a precedent and then it'll be picked up eventually by the other states. So we will see. We will see. I think there has to be a persistent effort in that direction. I mean, a lot of musicians, that's another difference I see about some of the newer musicians on the scene. They tend not to focus on issues that affect, say, the black community or black people in general. It's almost like they're afraid to speak out, you know.
and that's what I liked about your guys' generation, because you weren't. Free jazz to me was the ultimate black power, like black liberation music. I mean, you could talk about Amari Baraka and Archie Shepp. You could talk about Sun Ra, all that consciousness, John Coltrane. That consciousness was there. And
Mm-hmm.
for me, as a more of a quote unquote rock and roll musician, I even feel that even with a lot of Jimmy stuff, it's probably not as overt, but even Funkadelic, the earlier, heavier stuff too. Like it's just, but definitely, man, like you guys, like that generation, especially that late '60s jazz, was just like, bam,
Yeah.
no more. This is black liberation right here, right now. Like I'm sorry,
Yeah, I
I'm
used
getting
to
too
see
exuberant.
Gregory. I saw Dick Gregory a number of times, and he used to talk about different things, about he would be mostly getting on the government about, what they were doing. And, it was very interesting hearing him speak. And then later on, Dick got into the diet thing and he started talking about that. I really missed it, and I wish more people could have seen him because he had a certain amount of knowledge that most people would find useful. Because, like
Wow.
earlier, like most people don't even know how to eat nowadays. There are people out there that can help get you straight on that. But I never thought think I would see things the way that they are today because I grew up in it with home cooked meal
Mm.
day, you know. And now people they don't want to cook. They want to go to what other places? Popeyes, McDonald's, Burger King,
GMO food, basically.
you know, White Castle, you know.
Oh man,
Yeah,
I forgot y'all have that on the East Coast. It came out
boy.
here once in the '80s, I remember, and that's the first time I ever had it. I'm like, what are these little hamburgers? My father took us over there back in the day, like in the early to mid '80s. It was in Long Beach for a little bit, and then I guess it didn't survive out here, so they just went back to the East Coast.
Well, I
Man,
yeah, because we went we did a show at I think we did a show at UCLA. And I remember we were staying at the Century Plaza Hotel. After we did the show, we and I were up and we were hungry, so we went downstairs to get something to eat, like a fruit salad. And the way
ooh,
the guy he brought out this salad, it was so it was so enormous that I couldn't eat it all. And I was young. I could put away some food when I was young, but I could not eat all of that. The salad was really good. It didn't cost that much, but it was just so much of it. and I
Man.
need it all. I split it with Ware, and he couldn't eat it all. And
What salad was it again? Like, where was it from again? Because you kind of clipped off. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was my signal
that
or
was
not.
76, and we were at the Century Plaza
Oh,
Hotel. We did
wow.
the thing at UCLA. And then I think after we did that, we went up to Vancouver and we did a week Oil Can Harry, you know. So it was
That's
really
good.
nice touring with the band, And we had done a fair amount of touring and we had done a whole bunch of playing. So by the time Doctor themselves would record it, the band was really on point. We were very, very well honed, you know. We had our sound together, you know. We were playing,
That's tight.
and Cecil was in his prime. A lot of people don't realize what they missed when Cecil was in his prime, but I tell them to watch the documentary Imagine the Sound, the one that was done by the Canadian filmmakers. That one captures Cecil. You've seen the clips on YouTube where
That
Cecil was
video
wearing,
where he got the grand piano.
well, he's wearing a white outfit.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
he's at that grand.
yeah,
Dude, that video, dude, I had my late brother-in-law watch that, and he had the same. My late brother-in-law was not into any kind of jazz or anything like that. More of a hip hop head, more of early funk. But like I had him watch that, and he felt the same way I did. Like he's a how on earth? Like our hairs are standing on the back of our necks. That's an intense performance, man. I'm like,
that's
wow.
how it was. The first time I saw Cecil, he came to Boston and he did a solo performance. And I didn't know much about Cecil at that time. So David Edware came up to me afterward. He said, "Well, what do you think?" And I said, "David, I don't think anyone can play with this man." And he said, "That's not true. You have to check out the Blue Note recording." So I started to listen to the Blue Note recording, Conquistador, and the other Cecil Taylor recording at that time. I can't think of the name of it. And I said, "Oh, so people can work with this guy." I said, "Oh, okay," you know. But listening to him, that was my first initial impression because he was so strong. I had never heard anyone play the piano like that. I mean, it was like a frontal assault on your senses. Yeah,
I love it. Yeah, Unix structures and conquistadors, even though they're still kind of getting into that, like it's still dissonant and stuff. Some people would say that's a little bit more straight, even though it's still kind of intense in its own right,
that,
like
you know, seeing
man.
live was very intense. You know, and I had no idea a few short years later that Ware and I would be working with Cecil. Never in my wildest dream did I see that coming or think that that was even possible, but that's how it things played out. We
Man, what a trip.
were working with Cecil. I mean, that was a high point for me. That was a peak musical experience being with Cecil. And I'll tell you another thing. When we played at the Keystone Corner in San Francisco, the first thing I noticed about the club was they had this painting. It had a picture of Sonny Rollins playing the horn of plenty. And I told David, I said, "David, look at that painting." I said, "I once had a dream about that. In my dream, Sonny Rollins was like on top of the building. It was like maybe about the equivalent of the second floor, and he was playing a giant horn of plenty that reached down to the street. And what he was playing was a lot. And then when I saw that image at the club, I was really amazed at the connection that I had tuned into this somehow beforehand. So anyway, we played at the Keystone Corner, and every set that we did, every set, every night, night, we got a standing ovation after we finished playing. And I have never
Wow.
had a repeat of that experience. That's how tight the band was. I mean, we were really, really playing. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that when you get the audience responding like that. And some of the people that came to see us, they had planned to see us maybe just that one night. They ended up, I don't know, they must have called into their jobs and said they were sick or something. They were there every night. They were there every night for the entire engagement that we
Wow.
did. Yeah, that,
Man.
that's really, really something that to be experienced.
Well, hey man, I was gonna ask, like, do you have any social media that cats like want to tell your social media? Um,
Well,
I think we'll
on,
probably.
you can follow me on my account, Mark Edwards in the house. I also have one for Slipstream Time Travel, and I'm also on Facebook, and you can follow me or connect with me there. But I'm getting pretty high up on my Facebook account, so I don't know if I'm going to take on too many new people. I'm kind of reserving those for people that are in the business at this point, because I got over, it's more than 4K, and Facebook only allowed you 5K
That's insane.
friends, you know.
They need to
They
they
should,
need to make
they
more.
should increase it. But, Facebook, I like social media, but I have mixed feelings about the people that's running it, you
Yeah, you
know.
and me both.
And some of the things that I see that goes on every once in a while, I say, "Oh, that's a Facebook glitch or that's an Instagram glitch." I mean, you would think they'd have all this stuff figured out by now. I mean, they've been at it for more than 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, they should have these things fixed. We need somebody like a Elon Musk who's real smart, but someone who's interested in social media and do it, do what's not being done. Do
Man.
it the right way.
Oops.
You know. But
This thing.
this app, so we will make do with it, and I don't mind the free advertising. You know, I get a lot of my work through social media, more so than
That's awesome.
LinkedIn site. People I still get requests for that LinkedIn thing, but I very rarely visit that site. I say if you connect with me through here or Facebook, you're good. You're golden. You don't have to worry. You can reach me, and the majority of my work, I would say, 99% of the work that I get comes from right here, Instagram and Facebook.
Yep.
But
It's a trip, man. Well,
just want to consider, if you don't have an account on Instagram or Facebook, you you really need to get something going with that. It's just so that people can get in touch with you. You
yep.
can,
That's the only reason I'm on here.
yeah, you know. I remember one time early on, I could go through my Instagram account or Facebook account, and it would just be a few minutes. But then one day, I remember I went through it, and it kept going on and going on and going on. It seemed like it exploded. Everybody was on social media, and they were posting, and that's when things changed. But I like social media. I like the idea that you can follow people that are well known as well as people who are not famous. You can follow ordinary people as well as people who are really, really up